In this video, we take a look at the basic building block of Quant's integers. Integers are numbers which are whole. Basically, they are not a fraction, and when you express them as decimals, they can only have 0 after the decimal point. Some examples of integers are -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth. 0 is a unique integer in that it is neither positive nor negative. Keep that in mind because GMAT can often test you on that. Now, integers can be of two type, odd or even. Take particular note that 0 is an even integer. GMAT tests you on that as well. And the integers, even integers can be negative as well, like -2, -4. Odd integers are integers that are not divisible by 2. Examples would be -3, -1, 1, 3, so on. Now let's take an example here and see this in action. The question asks, if x is odd, what is the value of x? Statement 1 says x is less than 3. Now what a lot of students will do is let's consider all the numbers less than 3. 0, 1, 2. Now they will take a look that this is our set and the question says x is odd, therefore the only possible number is 1, therefore 1 alone is sufficient. However, that is incorrect because we need to consider the negative numbers as well. Therefore now we will see that the possible options are 1, -1, -3, so on and so forth. Therefore 1 alone is not sufficient. Let's consider statement 2. X is greater than -1, and from question we know that x is odd. Therefore the consideration set would be 1, 3, 5, 7 and so on. Therefore statement 2 alone is not sufficient. Let's combine the two statements now. Here we have only one number that is common between the two sets, which is 1. Therefore the value of x is 1, and 1 and 2 together are sufficient. Therefore our option will be C. Now let's talk about the number line. A number line is a line that lists out all the integers. It is important to take note of number line because a lot of time you are not able to solve the question that is asked in GMAT mathematically, and you have to plug in the numbers in order to get to the solution, and that's when the number line comes in very handy. Now one thing to note is that any number to the right is going to be larger than any number on the left in the number line. What does that mean? Let's take a look. If our number is 5 and let's pick another number which is to the left of 5 on the number line, say 2, so 2 is going to be less than 5 because it's on the left. But it's important to note that -5 is going to be less than -2 because -5 is to the left of the number line. This is an important property to keep in mind, and it will make your life a lot easier on the GMAT. Let's move on to the properties of integer now. The first property is that n divided by n is equal to 1, and that's pretty easy to see. If you divide 3 with 3 you get 1, if you divide 2 by 2 you get 1, so on. Now there's one exception to it, that is n cannot take the value of 0. Anything divided by 0 is undefined, therefore that whole operation is mathematically invalid. Another thing to keep in mind is that if there are two numbers a and b which when divided gives 0, then either a or b has to be 0. Let's see these properties in action now. Please solve this equation. You can go ahead and pause the video. Okay, let's solve the equation together now. A lot of people will take x to the right and get x square is equal to x, divide both sides by x and get x is equal to 1. And I hope you are not one of them, because this is incorrect. There are two mistakes here. The first one being that when you are dividing both the sides with x, you are ignoring the fact that it could be 0, and if x were to be 0 and you were dividing both the sides by x, then you are in effect dividing by 0, which is mathematically invalid. The second point being that you are not considering that a into b is equal to 0. So there will be another video where we will go into quadratic equations in greater depth, but right now take a look. We have got x square minus x is equal to 0. We take x common and we get x into x minus 1 is equal to 0. Therefore x or x minus 1, either of them could be equal to 0, given the property a dot b is equal to 0. Therefore the two values of x are x is equal to 0 and x is equal to 1.